will not go on to the consent calendar. We'll go on to the public record. Do we have any correspondence?
We do not.
All right, that will move on to open forum. Do we have any open forum online or in the public?
We do not.
And then move on. And as a reminder, folks, apologies. The meeting I'm calling to order is our Library Parcel Tax Oversight Committee, not our general meeting. And this will be our non-traditional meeting. We'll have multiple meetings today, but we'll start off with our first item, which is item A. Again, we won't act on it, but we will get a presentation on our annual measure S parcel tax oversight.
Andrea Mestre, our admin officer.
Welcome, welcome.
Okay. Hi, good evening. I'm Andrea Mestre, the Library Department's Administrative Officer. And so every year around this time, we come to the Library Parcel Tax Oversight Committee to review the annual audit. And so part of that process is also at a previous committee meeting, we had a ad hoc subcommittee that I met with a couple times to review the audit and review the questions that were posed during the previous meeting. And so I'm just going to start off with the PowerPoint first. So first, just to talk about what the oversight role is. And so part of that role is includes understanding the allowable costs under the library parcel tax. It also includes reviewing expenditures from compliance with the ballot language. And then it also includes review and approval of outside audit expenditures. And so as the chair indicated today, we don't have a quorum, so we won't be doing the approval, but we'll still move forward with the presentation. So just a little history about the library parcel tax. And so originally the library parcel tax from 1995 to 2005 was called the Benefit Assessment District. BAD is what the acronym was. And we know libraries are not bad. We're bad in the cool way. But then in November 2004, Measure S was approved, and that's the parcel tax. And so that sunsetted in 2015. And then the voters again approved a 25-year extension. And so we're currently in that 25-year extension. And in case anybody cares, the library parcel tax had the highest voter approval rating of any city measure. So we know that San Jose loves the libraries. And then that assessment originally started at 25 per year for single family home. And then there is a incremental increase every fiscal year. And the types of expenditures that are appropriate for the library parcel tax include library operations, which includes any hours, administration, repairs or equipment for libraries, as well as any children's reading programs, any types of story times, teens, seniors, education programs, books, technology. All of those are approved expenditures as long as they're in the library to support library services. And for 22-23, our expenditures included library operations. There was 73.49 FTE, which is that were funded through the library parcel tax in 22-23, and non-personal equipment, which includes supplies, programming, any type of maybe license fees for software, all of the utilities for the facilities, all of that was funded through our non-personal equipment, and that was a little over $10.9 million. We also, of course, had collection, books, materials, including e-resources, some annual fees and software upgrades, and then also we funded some system-wide technology contracts and licensing, as well as monthly broadband access to our branches. So one of the things that we also funded was our our ILS system, integrated library system, was also funded through our library parcel tax. And then next slide, please. So as I had indicated, there is an annual review and increase to the parcel tax, and so the cap is 3%. So it's either it's either inflation increase or it's capped at 3%. So if it's 5%, it's still only 3%. If it's 1.57%, it's only 1.57% increase that goes on to the ballot. So that's pretty much the way it works. And so this past year, it was in fact a 3% increase, and the previous year was 1.57. So it was a little bit more because the actual percentage was 5%. And so we were at the 3%. So annual revenue was $10.4 million. And the use of funds is broken down here. So personal services include staff benefits and staff salaries. And then materials acquisition is all of our e-resources, e-books, all of our actual physical materials. And then we have our non-personal equipment, which includes any supplies or any programming that was funded through the library parcel tax, as well as automation projects. This is all of our IT equipment, which, as I had indicated, our ILS system and other types of software licenses that were funded. And then transfer out. So this transfer out is always something that gets asked about. And so there's a transfer out, and what it includes is debt service. So it's called a transfer out to the city, but it's actually debt service for the city. And so it's tied to a position in the HR department that the library funds through the library parcel tax. And that position supports library department HR related activities, including recruitments, benefits, and leave of absences, all types of support for our department. And so the total is about $11.9 million. And so, move on to the balance sheet. So just in summary, we started the fiscal year with about $5.3 million. Our total revenues, as I'd indicated, $10.4 million. Expenditures a little under $11.9 million. And so our change in fund balance was $1.4 million. So from $5.3 million when we started, and we ended the fiscal year at $3.9 million. And then just to talk a little bit about the audit. The audit is an audit of our financial records. And so the audit is conducted by an external auditor, and it includes justification of backup documents related to projects, which includes documentation of contracts that they look at. They include review of invoices, supporting of expenditures, any types of liquidations or contracts that maybe we didn't fully expend those expenses. And then they also look at internal controls. Is there a separation of duties between somebody that might be approving a payment to be made and then somebody actually entering it into the system and making the payment? And just making sure that all of those controls are in place, and all of our we're following the governmental accounting standard boards as well. So that for the library parcel tax for this audit ending June 30th, 2023, there were no audit findings. And I know there were some questions that came up during a previous meeting. And so before I jump into those, I just want to say that with me today is Joe Royce. He's the city auditor. And so he's here in case any questions come up. And he and his department is the one that actually contracts with the external auditor. So the library doesn't contract with them. That would be a little bit of a conflict. So he and his department contract with them just to make sure that they're conducting the audit as indicated in his agreement with them. So some of the questions that came up during the parcel tax were regarding the sample size that was used. So they tested the external auditor, is Macinas Genie. They tested 20 payroll samples and 34 non-payroll samples, and that was of 737 and 1,858 transactions. They basically, the reason why you might think that that seems low, if you think about a payroll sample, one employee will be charged to the payroll every single 2 weeks, every pay period. But it's going to be the same type of charges that are hitting the fund. So when they're looking at the payroll samples, it's not necessarily perhaps beneficial or to look at every single pay period, because they're just going to be hitting. It's the same person that's charging. It's set up in the system to charge. And so what they wanted to emphasize as part of their testing is they not only review the support, but they also make sure that they look deeper into the charges, especially for payroll. They try to get an understanding of the various titles and roles of employees who are charging to the fund and make sure those are reasonable operating expenditures to support this fund. And then in addition, it was a question was asked in regards to total transactions. And so the total transactions was about 3% for payroll and 2% for non-payroll that they tested. And they indicated that they also test ending cash balance, the revenue cash receipts, subsequent disbursements for completeness of accounts payable, as well as perform reasonable testing of any changes between the prior year and the current year's cash and all of our expenses. And so there were no findings, and I think that about closes out my presentation in case, unless anyone has questions.
Before we get into questions, do we have public comments?
We do have one public comment. Lisa Angela, go ahead and talk. Hello. Oh, she left.
I don't believe anyone else came in that time. Any questions from the commission? Open up the floor. All right.
Okay, just real quick, I'd like to thank Commissioner Banks and Brown for joining me and being on the ad hoc committee. I really appreciate your time.
It's such a clean document and such a clean process. I have to say, you make our job easy. So thank you very much.
One more round for questions. All right, folks, we'll adjourn this meeting. Our next Library Parcel Tax Oversight Committee meeting will take place November 2024 at 7 p.m. this time next year. Do we need a motion to close it out? That's right. We will close the meeting and now open up our Library Bond Oversight Committee. As a reminder, folks, and I'll call this meeting to order at 7:19 p.m. As a reminder, folks, this is being recorded, and we'll start with roll call.
So once again, Chair Magana,
Present.
Vice Chair Ramos.
Here.
Commissioner Banks.
Here.
Commissioner Westphal.
Here.
Commissioner Reyes. Commissioner Gardner. Commissioner Mendoza. Commissioner Kelly. Commissioner Jolly.
Here.
Commissioner Wendy. Commissioner Brown.
Present.
Commissioner Allen. Commissioner Sella.
Here.
And we do not have one.
All right. So because of that, as a reminder, folks, this will be put on to our next meeting in January when we have a quorum. We can vote on it. But with that, we'll go on to public record. Do we have any correspondence regarding the meeting?
We do not.
Anyone in public or open forum? Online?
No.
Virtually? All right, then we'll move on to our action item, which is reviewing our independent auditor's report on our library bond project fund for FY 22-23.
Once again, Andrea.
Hi, good evening again. Okay, so for our bond oversight committee, similar, we, in terms of the oversight role is, understanding allowable costs, reviewing expenditures for compliance with the ballot language, and reviewing and approving the audit of expenditures that, as the chair indicated, will be delayed until the next meeting. So a little bit about the bond history. So Measure O was approved in November 2000, and there was a little over the voters approved general obligation bond issuance, and it was restricted for the purchase and construction of improvement of libraries. So there was no, as of right now, there's no administrative expenses or staffing, and in 2019, there was a change where even project management costs cannot be charged. So prior to 2019-2020, we were able to charge project management costs, and we're no longer able to charge. So it's just direct project related work. And so, and then we move on to the 22-23 expenditures. So in 22-23, you'll notice in the memo that there was a discussion about the low amount of expenditures, and there was a lot of things going on with the library. One was We were lining up our budget to be able to balance and match in the event that we're issued the Building Forward Infrastructure Grant. And then we're also lining up some improvements at the Biblioteca branch, which was taking a little bit longer for us to get an agreement in place and really work with the vendor and architect. And so as part of that, our expenditures were only $182,000, and it included security cameras at Education Park, as well as Berryessa boiler and HVAC replacement. And so this year, we definitely have a lot more activity going on, not only with our Building Forward grant that we did receive $8.7 million, but also with our other bond-related activity, and as well as the Biblioteca branch. So in next year's report, you're definitely going to see a much higher number of expenses and a lot more projects that were completed. So the audit is completed on based on financial records, and then similar justification and backup documentation, which includes contracts, invoices for expenditures, as well as any types of contract liquidations, as well as any tasks performed by capital project staff. So when we talk about the actual staff that can continue to be charged, they have to actually be working on a project. So for example, if I'm a city HVAC employee that's working with the vendor to get the HVAC installed, I can charge there. But if I am the budget analyst working on monitoring the budget, I cannot be charged there. And so just kind of looking at who's charging and making sure that those are appropriate costs. And for this year's audit, there was no audit findings, so that's great. And at the last meeting, there were some questions similar to the previous audit. And so one was in regards to the sample size for the bond audit. And so there were 13 non-payroll samples, and there's no payroll charges that hit. So all of them were non-payroll that were reviewed. And you guys might recall that last year there was a notation of a material weakness. So it wasn't an audit finding, but it was a notation of material weakness. And so this year that did get cleared. And so that's no longer there flagged. And so as part of that, they acknowledged that material weakness was there last year. And so the risk assessment was higher. And so they tested more of the transactions. And the total population of testing for transactions was 15 during this year. And similar to the previous, they also look at, the change in the balance from the previous year to this year, the cash balance. They look at all of the completeness of the accounts payable transactions, the revenue and cash receipts. And so they look at a lot of other information in addition to those specific transactions. And there was no findings, and that's it. That completes my presentation.
Thank you. Thank you. Before we get into questions or comments from the commission, do we have anyone for public comment online?
We do not.
Anyone in the crowd? No? We'll open up the floor for our commission. Any questions or comments?
Just once again, I wanted to say this could be very dry, and this was exciting, right? I mean, it is exciting, and I really appreciate your presentation tonight. Thank you.
I was going to ask Andrea, for the sake of commissioners who might not have been here last year, did you want to describe what that material weakness was?
Yeah, so there was a department, we talked about it a little bit in the memo, but there was another city department that had charged the bond fund 25% overhead charge. And you cannot charge that type of a charge to the bond fund. As I had indicated, it has to be actually for the work being performed. And so that was considered more of an administrative cost because there wasn't a very specific person that was performing that exact work. And so there wasn't sufficient backup documentation for that type of charge. And so we did not request reimbursement from bond funds, and we did not get reimbursement from bond funds. So there was no actual misuse of bond funds, but since it was in the financial system, it did get flagged for that notice.
Other questions or comments? All right, thank you for the wonderful presentation, y'all. As a reminder, folks, we don't have the ability to take action on this, so we will again table this until our next meeting. As a reminder, folks, this meeting will take place again November 20th, 2024. See you all there. We'll open up our general meeting now, correct?
Yes.
On the right track.
Yeah.
You're doing awesome.
I'll call our meeting to order at 7:27 and I'll have Cass roll call.
Sorry. Let me keep up. All right, Chair Magana,
Present.
Vice Chair Ramos,
Present.
Commissioners. Oh, that's not right. Sorry. Commissioner Banks,
Present.
Commissioner Westphal,
Present.
Commissioner Reyes, Commissioner Gardner, Commissioner Mendoza, Commissioner Kelly, Commissioner Jolly,
Here.
Commissioner Wendy, Commissioner Brown,
Present.
Commissioner Allen, Commissioner Seller,
Here.
and we do not have quorum.
All right, folks, with that being said, we'll move on to the public record. Do we have any public record or correspondence?
We do not.
All right, move on to open forum. Anyone online for open forum or anyone in the
There is none.
public? We'll move on to our next item, which is, looking at the right one, I'm sorry, no. Item VA, Commission Budget Activities Subcommittee Appointment to prepare annual budget position message to council. Welcome back, long time.
It's your meeting. I have a point of order. So if this says it's an action item, but we do not have quorum, how will you seat your subcommittee?
I don't know, I have to defer to.
So we can discuss it and get background for it, and then we can re-agendize it for our January meeting.
Okay. Will you have enough time? Will you have enough time?
We will have to make it enough time.
Okay. You guys and individual commissioners can volunteer to get more information. We would not convene you as a subcommittee, but you could still get information about the budget. We'd still probably ask for volunteers.
Okay. So, so annually we come to the commission to request volunteers for the budget subcommittee. And so just kind of to give you some background information about the role. So the role of the members that volunteer, they'll be drafting the commission annual budget position message. And the time commitment is about 3 hours. So similar to the ad hoc committee, we meet a couple times. We also do some independent work on the memo itself, the message, excuse me. And then all the meetings that we have will be via Zoom, so we won't be meeting in person. And the benefits is you can learn about the Santa City's annual budget process. Also, it's a great opportunity for you to jump into advocating for library services. And so I'm looking for 2 or 3. And you guys just heard Commissioner Brown talk about how fun it was to work with me. And so any volunteers?
I did this last year. I'm happy to do this again. It was.
Look at you.
Ooh, wow, really?
I was getting ready. I was
I
like,
know, I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to fall on my sword again.
I have been on this committee as well. It is fun.
It is
Actually, I
fun.
feel like it's really. So,
Well, then come on.
Well, then it would be a quorum of
Yeah.
too much.
So
So we will trust you all.
if you were interested, if you could raise your hand one more time. So
Ooh, fun. Very nice.
and again, we don't have to decide today, so people change their minds.
It's a lot of
Okay,
fun.
It is a lot of fun. And regardless, there will still be we still will need support advocating on behalf of budget priorities as well.
Yes, there will be many public meetings for everyone to advocate for the library.
You don't have to, but you have opportunities. many
Opportunities, and they still have Zoom options too, so.
Do you have any public comment? I figured.
we don't have any raised hands.
Any other questions or comments from the commission? Okay.
Thank
Again,
you, Andrea.
Cannot take action on this, y'all, because we don't have quorum. But we'll move it on to our next item, which is our council liaisons announcements. Welcome.
Hey, how's it going,
Thanks for being
everybody? My name is Brian. I'm from Councilmember Omar Torres's office. Just a quick rundown of what Councilmember has been doing. At council, he helped approve for two commissioners on the Civil Service Commission, at the NSC and Neighborhood Services and Education meeting. He approved park impact ordinance and dedicated ordinance fees at that meeting. And I believe from the last meeting, I believe it was in September, maybe October. We received the Youth Commission's survey and the work plan. They sent it to our office, so we're trying to distribute it through our newsletter, but our newsletter is more geared towards adults, so I'm guessing we're gonna have to do it towards more so events. So we're looking forward to using that. We haven't had the opportunity to really push out the survey, but we're looking forward to it. Some past events that we had was the haunted house at Brenda Lopez Memorial at the Washington Youth Center. That was a really good event. And then some upcoming events. We have a December 2nd Christmas tree giveaway, where we're trying to give out about 1,000 trees to families in need. We're working with schools and different organizations, local organizations, nonprofits, to see if we can identify these families and see how many trees we can give out. And then later in the month, right before Christmas, we have a Christmas in the Park stage takeover. So if you have some free time on a Monday afternoon from 6 to 9 p.m., feel free to come out. Council member will be on stage. I don't remember too much. I'm not sure if it's different for each council member, but I know they do giveaways. Sometimes they just have like different schools have their, chorus or classroom perform. But for the most part, it's a fun event, good opportunity. It gives you a reason to come out to Christmas in the Park and see something that's not just the every day-to-day Christmas in the Park thing. It's an actual event. So yeah, and then after that's Christmas and Christmas break. So thank you.
Any questions for our council? Thank you so much for the info. Thank you for being here. We'll move on to chair's announcements. I'll keep mine pretty short. I had an opportunity to be here actually for our Halloween parade, which was awesome. Got to wear a Ninja Turtle shirt and take my little kids around and get a lot of candy that we did not eat. Great to see lots of staff there. It was nice to see you all. Also, thank you to our wonderful librarian for the invitation to be keynote at MiniCon to speak to our library staff. Thank them for the great work that they're doing. Just want to remind folks as well too that there are some openings in the Library Commission as well as other commissions in the city. We need folks like in those seats. So I just want to remind folks about that. And then on a personal note, my organization does online professional development sessions. So if folks are interested in something called Ed Centro, check it out. There's a lot of professional development opportunities for folks who may be interested. We'll move on to our library directors now.
Thank you so much. Well, the many holidays are coming up. So I just want to let the commission know that, of course, we don't have a meeting in December. And we do have a few closures of the library, and our website is always up to date, but we will be closed November 23rd and Friday, November 24th for the Thanksgiving holiday. We will be closed December 24th through the 26th for the Christmas holiday, and then for New Year's holiday, December 31st through January 2nd. Of course, our website is always available, and of course, in the meantime, there's lots going on. So I'll highlight just 3 programmatic activities that are happening. This month, we're celebrating Native American Heritage Month at the library. So we have celebrations of the rich history and culture of Native Americans by offering a variety of events such as arts and crafts, story times, and even a STEAM program where participants learned about Native American folktales and created their own stories with a star constellation project. So lots of interesting things happening all over. In addition, you can always find our library staff bloggers publishing articles and lists of recommended resources and reading recommendations about our Native American cultures. And so we invite you to see those on our website. Secondly, we do have our 11th, I can't believe it's 11th annual Local Lit program coming, and it's going to be back in person this year. So every December, this one will be Saturday, December 2nd from 2 to 4:30 here at King, and it's on the 2nd floor in room 225. But pretty much every year we have this program that's a partnership between the public library and the San Jose State University Library, in which we support more than a dozen local authors and give them a place to share their writing and sometimes read in person, to the public for the first time. And the community really has come out in the past. Unfortunately, we've had to do it over Zoom for a couple of years, so this is exciting. There's lots of cookies, I'm told, so please come and enjoy cookies and tea, and talk to writers about their experience writing and publishing their works. And Michelle is always a wonderful host at the event as well. So if you'd like to find out more about it, we have more information at sjpl.org/locallit. And then lastly, we have the SJPL Winter Reading Program, which summer reading was a thing forever and still is, but our staff thought that's enough. So we had to do winter reading, and it's turned out to be a great program for all ages, in which the program challenges readers to log at least 4 hours of reading during the holidays or 4 books read from December 7th to January 7th. And they log their reading hours and then have chances to read cool prizes or twin cool prizes, just like in summer, including a telescope, a coding kit, there are smartphone accessories, I don't know what that is, and even a Fitbit. So the reading programs support year-round learning and active engagement for everyone, and all ages are welcome to participate. You can pre-register starting Monday, November 27th. And then also, starting December 7th, registered youth can claim a free book from any SJPL location as a participation prize, and adults who sign up can claim a free SJPL tote bag. So again, for more information, visit sjpl.org/winterreading. That concludes my notes.
Any questions or comments? No. All right. Yeah. We will move on to our announcements and meetings attended by commissioners as commissioners. All right. Item B, San Jose Public Library Foundation Board.
Thank you. Sorry, I was not here last month. I had COVID. I swear I didn't give it to my mother-in-law. But I was lucky enough to be able to join the Library Foundation Board of Directors meeting. A little bit after that, I finally had tested negative and was not symptomatic, but I still wore a mask because we should all continue to be safe in these trying times. So I just wanted to highlight a couple of things. I know that for those who don't know, I think the Tuesday after Thanksgiving is Giving Tuesday. Good. I'm glad we all know that. Wonderful. First, the Library Foundation Board did a mapping exercise, just kind of to see how many people we can get on board, see, who we can reach out, see who we can make supporters in any way possible. And so they're in the process of doing that. We would love for the Library Commission to also engage in this kind of exercise. So I'll be sharing a fillable document with the team to send out to the commission. So please keep an eye out on that. Similarly, and then also connect with Dawn. Raise your hand, Dawn. Yeah. Similarly, and what I'm actually very, very familiar with, it's the end of giving season, and we would like you to consider making a financial donation to the foundation or to the local Friends of the Library group. And then I'll send a link as well to Cassie, and you can also give there. And if your employer matches, that's even wonderful. So like I said, Giving Tuesday is after Thanksgiving, and so it's very apropos. I may or may not just randomly ask you, so don't make me call you. That's kind of my motto, but I mean, I also like to talk to people too. So I've been cooped up because I've been sick, so you may get a call from me. But like I said, we would appreciate any and all contributions. As you saw from our fantastic presentations, we spend the money wisely here at the library, and
and we're very popular. So I mean, get on the winning team.
Any questions or comments? I'm motivated. I'm ready. All right.
That concludes my report.
Wonderful report. Love it, y'all. We'll go to our next item, information and upcoming opportunities for commission participation. Remember, folks, go to sjpl.org, check out our program calendar there. Any items for future commission meeting agendas? Okay, folks. Our next meeting, reminder, will not be in December. It's going to be in 2024 in January 17th. It'll be here again, 7 p.m. MLK, third floor. Thank you all so much for being here. Be in peace, comfort. Adjourn this meeting at 7:43 p.m.
Stay healthy.